Algebra functions. What is domain? Imagine you have a magic box that takes a number and gives you another number in return. This box is like a function in algebra, but not every number can go into this box. Some numbers just don't work. That's where the idea of the domain comes in. The domain of a function is all the input values, usually called x, that you can put into the function without causing problems. For example, if the function is f of x equals 2 times x plus 3, you can put in any real number. That means the domain is all real numbers. There are no restrictions here because you can multiply, add, or subtract any number you want. When you look at linear functions, which are functions that graph as straight lines, the domain is usually all real numbers. That's because straight lines go on forever in both directions along the x-axis. So, for a simple line like y equals 5 times x plus 3, you can choose any number for x, and the line will still make sense. But sometimes, functions have restrictions. For example, if the function involves dividing by a number that depends on x, like 1 divided by x minus 1, then cannot be 1. That's because dividing by 0 is not allowed. So, the domain is all real numbers except 1. Another common restriction is with square roots. If the function involves the square root of x minus 4, then has to be greater than or equal to 4. This is because you cannot take the square root of a negative number in real numbers. So, the domain is all numbers starting from for and going up. To find the domain, look for any values of that make the function undefined. These are usually zeros in the denominator or negative numbers inside square roots. Once you find these, you exclude those x values from the domain. In graphing linear relationships, the domain tells us where the graph exists along the x-axis. Since lines extend infinitely in both directions, their domain is all real numbers. This means the line continues forever to the left and right. Knowing the domain helps you understand what input values are valid for a function. It also helps you draw the graph correctly and solve problems involving the function. When you get familiar with restrictions like division by 0 or square roots of negative numbers, working with functions becomes much easier. Understanding the domain is a key step in mastering algebra and graphing functions.